Episode 263. Indeed, the wife of Jake Robinson. The bidding plan was written by Aaron Ronalds. Serena remembered the name of this person. In her previous lifetime, Jake seemed to value him very much. She had heard that Aaron was a decent and hardworking man and who had a wife and child whom he loved a lot. However, because he was too honest, he was not involved in any adulation, which made him unpopular in the company. He was quite a senior employee, but had not been significantly promoted in 4 or 5 years. In her previous lifetime, he had been criticized by shareholders because of a land development case, but his plan had eventually been accepted by Jake, who made him the project director. The entire project, under his strict control, had achieved great success and had become an important factor in the Robinsons Group new peak success. This person? Where was he now? She dialed an inside line and called a secretary to come in. The secretary saw that Serena was reading the material seriously and felt some disdain. Although his face did not show it, it was still there. Serena understood his thoughts and did not mind it. She directly asked him about it. Mr. Ronald, sure enough, it was more or less the same as she had remembered. He held the position of the director in the development department. "Help me call him in." "Okay." The secretary closed the door and went out. Soon, a man who looked slightly plump came in. It looked like he was in his early 30s. He had round face, blue, honest eyes. When he saw Serena, he was clearly amazed by her beauty, and he couldn't help feeling uneasy. "What do you want from me, madam?" Aaron's face was a little red. Keeping his head low, he dared not to look at her. "This plan is written by you." Serena put it on the table. Aaron stepped forward and turned a few pages. He nodded, blushing. "Butler Farms has so much land, and we have chosen that particular spot. It not only has a lot of people who are unwilling to move, but also has an unreasonable price for the European-style buildings. Why would you bid on this piece of land?" Aaron heard this question and felt even more anxious. He scratched his head and his voice was stuttering. It doesn't matter. I'm very interested in your project. Say what you think." He blushed and mumbled, "I think this may be an opportunity. The European-style entertainment clubs are becoming a rage, and we have a way to start a new business there, but because of the land restrictions, there are many things that are not in place. I think we can..." Perhaps it was Serena's stare, but Aaron was far from fluent. Serena bowed her head slightly and looked at other materials in her hand, listening to him. Sure enough, after Aaron noticed that she was not staring at him, he became more fluent and spoke faster and clearer. At the end of his pitch, Aaron was a little excited, and his voice became louder and louder. He said, "I think my plan is very feasible, according to the investigation and calculation." His voice was strong and confident. He was a different person. After 10 minutes, finally, he excitedly put his hands on the edge of the desk and asked, "What do you think?" Serena listened to his words and took a look at the time. It was already 13:50, 10 minutes from the shareholders' meeting. Slowly, she put the cap back on the marker. Serena looked at him. "It is not perfect yet." Hearing that, Aaron was not convinced. He took his hands off the desk but did not speak. Serena knew there was no weight in what she had said. If at that moment Jake said that, then he would some constructive feedback to give him. Knocking on the table with a pen, Serena sounded flat and looked calmly at him. One of the assistants came in and handed a glass of juice to Serena, hearing what she had said. Dismissively pursing her lips, she quietly went out after putting down the juice. The door was closed. The secretary quickly walked back to the secretary's office. When she saw that Miranda was absent, she began to gossip. "She thinks she can take over as president now that the boss has died. I saw her talking with Aaron Ronalds. I don't think she knows what she's doing, but she's pretending she knows what's to be done." Another assistant looked at her from the computer and was doing a job for Miranda. When she heard this, she looked up and pushed her glasses up. "No way. She really wants to take over the Robinson Group." "It looks like it. A lot of files are piled up on her desk, and she looked convincing. But I don't know if she actually knows anything." "It's hard to say. Boss was always so up to date about everything. There is no reason his wife knows nothing." Yeah, but when Jake Sir was alive, how many times had she been there? She's either been here to distract him or keep him company. I've only seen her holding hands with him or hugging him. It's like she was convincing herself that they were on good terms. Plus, I don't know, but it seems like Jake thought she looked delicate, holding hands or hugging him. It's like she was afraid that others didn't know that they were on good terms. Also, I think he was too proud to allow her to intervene in his own career. Wow, this is too exciting. It can't be that this woman deliberately got Boss killed so she would have the company to herself, right? No, I think it's impossible. He's the father of her kids. Her belly's quite big for 4 months. It looks like 5 or 6 months for carrying twins. It's hard to say. I don't think she looks like a newbie. She looks like she had planned it for a long time. No way. She's a finance major, so it's only normal she knows the terms and the basics of how it works. Let me tell you. The huge knock on the door shocked everyone and they quickly stepped back to their seats. With her face grim, Miranda stood at the door, bristled. You'll have plenty of time, right? That's why you're gossiping? It seems that there's too little work. Everyone shrank and was afraid to speak. Miranda assigned work to everyone in anger and walked out in her high heels. The assistants glanced at each other and spat out their tongues. Someone said, I'm going to go and see how well she is pretending. Go. Remember to come back with gossip. Okay. The assistant opened the door and went out. She ran into Aaron Ronalds, who was walking out with what looked like his own development plan. The expression on his face was very serious. Aaron didn't realize that he was stared at. After he went back to his chair and settled down a few minutes later, he was able to digest the words Serena had just said to him. Recalling them, he suddenly smiled and said, Indeed, the wife of Jake Robinson. The shareholders' meeting began on time, and by the time Serena came in, everyone had arrived. When they saw her, some of them looked bored. Keith walked in behind her. Looking at the shareholders around him, he raised an eyebrow. Mrs. Robinson, everyone has been waiting for a long time. You're late.